faithfully delivering value, interpreting great books from around the world. This is Sally's Book Talk. Today, the book I'll be interpreting for you is The Royal Game, written by the renowned Austrian author Stefan Zweig. Do you enjoy playing chess? Chess is known as gymnastics for the human mind. The battles on the chessboard mirror the life and death struggles in our lives, and it even becomes a spiritual refuge during difficult times. For instance, in Chang's masterpiece, The Chess Master, during an era of extreme material and spiritual scarcity, the chess-obsessed Wang Yishen devoted himself entirely to the game. Through chess, he transcended worldly worries, becoming desire-free and finding spiritual fulfillment. Similarly, the protagonist in today's book, The Royal Game, also uses chess to combat spiritual emptiness. The difference is he was imprisoned by the Nazis during World War II in a solitary cell with nothing but four walls. To fight the void, he became a chess expert through constant self-play, which ultimately spared him from Nazi persecution. Yet, this extreme experience also brought him to the brink of mental collapse. Zweig created this character drawing from his own Tolly-2 experiences. In the 1920s to 30s, Zweig's works were European bestsellers. Letter from an Unknown Woman and The World of Yesterday were wildly popular. But after the Nazi rise, his books were banned in Germany and Austria by 1936, forcing him into exile, first to Britain, after 1941 in Brazil. To cope with despair, he often played chess with his wife and studied famous game records. As Europe deteriorated further, he despairingly believed the Nazis would eventually dominate the entire world without exception. In profound anguish, he took up his pen against the Nazis, writing The Royal Game. This became the last short story Zweig ever wrote. He set his protagonist's struggles within the Nazi era while deeply reflecting on his own exile experiences and mental state. The novel features two protagonists. One is chess master Czentovic. The other is also a chess expert. In the book, he's called Dr. B. Let me introduce them separately. Czentovic came from a working-class family, orphaned as a child, and later adopted by a village priest. He often watched others play chess and later tried playing himself, immediately revealing astonishing talent. Soon he became unbeatable, unrivaled. By 18, he'd won the Hungarian chess championship, and by 20, became world champion. Yet in other areas, he was nearly an imbecile, couldn't read, and until 14, still counted on fingers for basic math. He couldn't fully care for himself, lacked manners and social skills. Without attendance, he could barely function. In 1941, Czentovic appeared on a passenger ship sailing from New York to Argentina. An Austrian writer aboard, hearing the world chess champion was present, tried approaching him. Czentovic completely ignored him, which only deepened the writer's fascination. He and other chess enthusiasts set up a board to challenge him. Czentovic, the writer, saw this as a chance to observe the chess genius for future literary material. But Czentovic effortlessly defeated them and walked away. The writer wasn't ready to give up. Next day, they challenged Czentovic again, and soon were about to lose once more. Just then, a mysterious man appeared by the board and spoke, calmly analyzing the game. He told them, "Don't make that move. If you do, he'll counter with this, forcing your response, then he'll block that, leaving you checkmated." Czentovic was astounded. The man predicted his exact strategy. The stranger continued, "Try this move," forcing his response, then counter thus, "You might achieve a draw." Czentovic froze in disbelief. How could this man anticipate his every move perfectly? The game indeed ended in a draw. Czentovic's pride was shattered, while the writers' group was elated. So they urged the mysterious master to face Czentovic in a showdown, but the man suddenly panicked. He stammered, "Impossible, absolutely not negotiable. I haven't touched a chessboard in 25 years. Just now, without your permission, I interfered in your game. That was improper. Please forgive my rashness." I promise not to disturb you again. With that, he left, leaving the group stunned. Everyone began speculating. Who on earth was this mysterious person? At this point, the writer's interest shifted entirely from Czentovic to this mysterious figure. He managed to find this mysterious person wanting to hear his story. As a result, the writer heard a legendary tale of persecution and resistance, emptiness and combating emptiness. This mysterious person was Dr. B, the novel's other protagonist. Like the writer, he was Austrian, born into nobility. His family included the Austrian emperor's personal physician and an abbot. Dr. B's father was the emperor's legal advisor. Together, they ran a law firm. In 1938, Hitler had decided to annex Austria. He used both carrot and stick, employing diplomatic tactics to force the Austrian emperor and empress to abdicate and exiled the chancellor. Amid this turmoil, Dr. B and his father used their law firm as a cover, secretly producing documents, passing intelligence, providing meeting points, all to serve the Austrian emperor and government. But within Austria, many citizens harbored resentment toward those wealthy and connected to the royal family. The Nazis exploited this sentiment, inciting them to become informants and agents, exposing people like Dr. B. As a result, Dr. B's identity was exposed and he was arrested. However, he wasn't sent to a concentration camp or tortured. Instead, he was taken to a hotel. He was alone in a solitary cell, a bare room with almost nothing but a bed and basic necessities. Dr. B faced daily interrogations. The Nazis aimed to break his spirit through prolonged isolation and boredom, hoping he'd crack and provide intelligence, primarily information about the Austrian royal family's financial dealings. And Dr. B quickly realized the Nazis' sinister intent. To avoid succumbing to emptiness, he kept his mind active by observing everything possible. The wall's color, the bed shape, cracks in the floor. But after 2 weeks, Dr. B had even counted every pattern on his wash basin. With nothing left to observe, no one to speak to, and suicide impossible, he had to seek distraction in his memories. He recited everything he could remember: folk songs, nursery rhymes, stories, legal clauses, repeating them endlessly, and performed calculations with numbers. This is how he endured 4 months of imprisonment. How interminable were those 4 months? As the novel writes, 4 months, easy to write, just 3 characters, easy to say, merely a few syllables uttered in a quarter second, but no one can measure or describe how long 4 months stretches when stripped of all concepts of space and time. This is inexplicable to others, even to yourself. Just when Dr. B couldn't endure this torment any longer, a turning point came during another interrogation. While waiting, he spotted 3 coats hanging on the wall. He greedily examined them and discovered a water droplet clinging to one coat's collar. He said, "With inexplicable excitement, I waited to see if it would defy gravity and cling longer." He stared at the droplet, holding his breath for minutes, as if his very existence depended on it. When it finally fell, he counted buttons. One coat had 8, another 8, the third had 10. Then he noticed a bulge in one pocket. Convinced it was a book, the thought of printed pages made his knees tremble. He knew a book could conquer his emptiness. Carefully avoiding guards, he stole it, tucking it under his belt. Back in his cell, he eagerly opened it, only to find a chess manual. Devastated, for it contained no text, just 150 chess games. Though previously uninterested in chess, his extreme boredom forced him to study it. Gradually, he became fascinated with chess and studied the manuals greedily every day. Later, he made chess pieces from breadcrumbs, folded a bedsheet into a 64-square grid, and secretly played games by himself in the room. His self-study went through 2 stages. The first stage was memorizing chess games. His progress was rapid. After 1 week, he could play a full game by following a manual. After 2 weeks, he could play without physical pieces. After 3 weeks, he didn't even need the bedsheet. He could play entire games in his mind. 2 more weeks later, he could play all the games from the book from memory. After that, he revisited several games daily. In this way, Dr. B filled his long period of confinement. After mastering the games, he used his imagination to summon the chess masters who had played them, as if facing them in person, honing his skills daily. Dr. B's thoughts became more focused and clearer. Especially when handling the interrogator's cunning questions, he responded naturally and calmly, showing no abnormality. This was his happiest period. Dr. B described his satisfaction. What started as merely filling time had now become an enjoyment of many great chess strategists. Alekhine, Lasker, Capablanca, Teresh, Karras, they all came to my lonely cell like dear friends. The endless variations in the games filled this silent prison with vitality daily. I felt my mind become active and invigorated, and my thinking seemed sharper. Then he entered the second stage, playing against himself with both hands. After memorizing all the games thoroughly to seek novelty, he imagined two players facing each other in a game. He said, "Now I'm fighting myself." But previously, when playing from manuals, no matter who won, his emotions weren't affected because those were others' games. Now it was different, and he began to feel confused. Normal chess is a contest between two different minds. The Dr. B's two players shared one mind, so for some things he should know but shouldn't know. For a brilliant move, she felt both excited and frustrated because both black and white sides coexisted within him. After black makes a move, white must completely forget black's plans and calculations to think about its own moves. And when it's black's turn, white does the same, sinking him deeper into this mental split. Whenever he plays, Dr. B has nothing in front of him, but he shifts from sitting on this side of the table to the opposite. And he imagines two chess players facing each other, and his mind switches frequently between them. He plots 4 or 5 moves for each side, then suddenly shouts, "Hurry up," at himself or fiercely yells, "Check!" He wakes up suddenly at night, dreaming about playing chess. During interrogations, he also becomes incoherent. Finally, one day, he screamed like a madman in his room, broke glass, and cut his hand. Later, a permanent scar remained on his hand. The Nazis, thinking Dr. B was schizophrenic and useless, sent him to a hospital. He rested for several weeks before calming down somewhat. Then he was put on the passenger ship from New York to Argentina, mentioned at the story's start. Dr. B's story was roughly told, and the writer was stunned. And Dr. B told the writer he'd play a game with the world chess champion, but only to see if he could play a real game. Ooh. True to his word, the showdown began the next day, and it didn't take long. Dr. B defeated Czentovic with clearly superior chess skills. Although Dr. B showed quick reactions and precise moves, he revealed a weakness. He tends to get impatient and restless. The shrewd Czentovic seized this weakness and coldly, insidiously invited Dr. B to play again. Dr. B agreed. This time, intense hostility erupted between them, each wanting to crush the other. Czentovic deliberately slowed down his moves, forcing Dr. B to grow more impatient. Slowly, Dr. B became manic and restless, even hallucinating. It seemed he was back in his confinement days, spending each day in long, boring waits. He once used chess in his mind to resist boredom and anxiety and overcame it. Now that feeling returned, bringing him to the brink of collapse. The writers saw something was wrong and intervened in time to stop him from acting out. But Dr. B finally shouted, "Check," then calmed down, admitted defeat, left the table, and said this was his last chess game ever. Czentovic glanced over. Dr. B put on a magnanimous air and said, "For an amateur, this gentleman's talent is extraordinary." The story concludes with Dr. B's somber departure and Czentovic's triumphant smugness. In a sense, Czentovic is a shadow of the Nazis. Selfish, ruthless, and aggressive, just like the highly invasive and arrogant Nazis. He gained fame through chess and drowned himself in reputation and riches. Similar to how the Nazis started wars and became obsessed with warfare, seeing it as a grand endeavor, to Zweig, the Nazi Party was akin to a figure like Czentovic. Dr. B, after suffering Nazi torture that led to schizophrenia, faced Czentovic's chess match and nearly descended into another mental breakdown. As Zweig depicted, the Nazis employed emptiness to shatter souls and wills, causing persecution and warping of Dr. B's psyche. This harm is lethal, nearly impossible to heal. Despite Dr. B's masterful chess abilities, he couldn't escape his mental burden, causing him to relapse into insanity during the match with Czentovic. Yet conversely, when confronting the Nazi plot, Dr. B devised ways to combat the void. For instance, he used observation, memory, and imagination. Dr. B started by observing anything he could, then moved to memorizing and reciting. Once he got the chess book, he drilled relentlessly, memorizing over 100 chess matches. Ultimately, he could conjure an imaginary chess game with two phantom players, pitting them against each other. Daily, he generated new mental stimuli, defeating the void and thwarting the Nazi scheme. For Dr. B, this was indeed a victory. Numerous details in the story hint that Dr. B represents Zweig himself. For example, both came from affluent backgrounds and were distinguished, wealthy intellectuals. Dr. B claimed his misfortune stemmed from envy. Those less successful and wealthy resented him and conspired to bring him down. Likewise, Zweig believed his books were banned by the Nazis due to a mass of ignorant Austrians stirring up trouble. These common masses provided the fertile ground for Nazi ascent and were accomplices in bolstering their might. Similar to the mental void Dr. B confronted in confinement, Zweig's state in exile teetered on the brink of breakdown. He is a person deeply attached to his homeland and family. As soon as he left his Austrian hometown, he felt he'd lost his spiritual anchor. He drifted and resided in various countries, living aimlessly, his inner world growing barren. So in the novel, he transformed himself into Dr. B, confined in an empty room. But Zweig still hoped to resist the Nazis through literature. Thus, he had Dr. B fight a mental battle against the Nazis. This battle was fought by him alone, and the name of the battle is called Resisting Emptiness. Zweig created Dr. B not just to condemn Nazi persecution, but to declare his own successful resistance. Dr. B, in his writing, is tragic, not only from Nazi-inflicted mental scars, but because he defeated their plot, yet failed to conquer himself. In the novel, a character always observes Dr. B. This person is the story's witness. That Austrian writer's attitude toward Dr. B shifted. First, gratitude when Dr. B suddenly helped confront the arrogant Czentovic. This saved him from despair. Then came admiration. When the writer met Dr. B and heard his story, he was utterly admiring. Later, after Dr. B played 2 games with Czentovic, the writer gradually noticed Dr. B's mental symptoms. At this point, his admiration turned to worry. At the novel's end, when Dr. B fell into a frenzy, the writer quickly reached out and pinched his arm hard. Dr. B turned to look. The writer seemed like a sleepwalker. He said, "What do you want?" The writer replied in English, "Remember," meaning remember. At the same time, he touched the scar on Dr. B's hand, left when Dr. B frantically broke the window earlier. Seeing the scar, Dr. B suddenly became clear-headed, calmly admitted defeat, and left composedly. What did the writer hope Dr. B would remember? He should remember he's a survivor, not a heroic resistance fighter. This resistance wasn't a real battle. He didn't truly defeat anyone. He shouldn't let this imagined Nazi battle imprison him or indulge in resistance illusions. Remember, this word was for Dr. B and for Zweig himself. He reflected deeply on his own experiences. Zweig admitted that under Nazi rule, like Dr. B, he had no choice. But he sorrowfully reminded himself that compared to the thousands murdered or exiled by the Nazis, his own suffering was insignificant. Resisting emptiness was necessary, self-salvation essential, but one shouldn't indulge in illusions. Like Dr. B, he lived in imagination, fighting enemies through chess, imagining battles against Nazis and sinister plots to prove he was still fighting. Zweig found it all profoundly pathetic. Dr. B's calm admission of defeat showed he abandoned his obsession, acknowledging that his success and struggle weren't grand. Chess was just chess, insufficient for sustaining anti-Nazi heroics. Through Dr. B, Zweig revealed his self-perception. He saw himself as a well-meaning but powerless intellectual who, despite resisting persecution in his way, couldn't escape its psychological shadow. Thus, this novella blends accusation and self-reproach, inspiration and despair. Hope and disillusionment form an intellectual's most sincere, potent, and bitter self-examination. While writing The Royal Game, Zweig's heart was heavy with sorrow. In February 1942, news of Singapore's fall drove Zweig to utter despair. He and his wife took poison in Brazil, aged 60. Unlike works depicting triumphant resistance in adversity, this story shows Dr. B escaping danger, yet Zweig refrains from celebrating this victory. Instead, he plunged into deep reflection. Through Dr. B's journey, he composed a prelude to his own path toward the abyss. The entire narrative brims with self-doubt. Its apparent triumphs conceal irony. He first crafted a near-heroic figure, then stripped away all heroism, minimizing the significance of his struggle. Rather than showcasing human resilience, Dr. B's battle exposes human fragility against overwhelming reality. Yet the sorrowful novel still offers positive insights. Each of us has moments when we feel the whole world is against us and we must defend ourselves, must resist. But when confronting the world, we're often like Zweig facing the Nazis, full of fury yet powerless to fight back. After compromise, we realize the ultimate test of resisting the world comes down to conquering ourselves. This is a more realistic and achievable task. It requires shedding the illusion of self-worship, constantly facing oneself honestly, and recognizing our own strength and place. Even when resistance fails, such honesty can save our inner selves. All right, that concludes our interpretation of The Royal Game. Find reading notes below the audio. See you tomorrow.